The world's largest automakers are protesting against plans by Donald Trump to roll back Obama-era regulations on pollution. 17 companies, including Ford and General Motors, warn that the US president is trying to go too far and say his plan could wreak havoc in the industry. Well, for more on this story, I'm joined now by our correspondent, Alistair Sanford. As this is a rather surprising story, just looking at the headlines. What exactly are these companies demanding?
It is surprising, Tokes, because yes, this letter's been signed by 17 companies, including heavyweights you mentioned, like Ford and General Motors, also Toyota, Volvo, interestingly not Fiat Chrysler. But basically they want Trump to go back to the drawing board on pollution standards. Now, the car makers wanted changes here, but they now say the president is going too far in his rollback, and they say this is going to produce untenable instability and lead to lower profits. Now, Trump's plan, unveiled last year, titled Make Cars Great Again, envisage throwing out, or not throwing out, but severely weakening the Obama-era changes to the rules on fuel economy. The president said that the rules would cost jobs, they'd put prices up, and he wanted to stop individual states as well, this is crucial, from setting their own standards. Now, this is why the car makers largely are opposing it. Yes, partly they're under pressure from their own shareholders over the environment, but they fear a fight back from individual states because California and some 13 others are pretty certain to mount a legal challenge if Trump's plan goes ahead. And the car makers feel that this could all get clogged up in the courts for years to come, and that if the Trump administration loses, this would split the market, because then you'd have some states like California being very strict with pollution controls, and others, neighboring states, for instance, like Utah or whatever, that would not be strict, and this would create a divided market, causing havoc for the manufacturers. Now, the car makers have also written to California. They want California to compromise. They're saying, hey, can't we do a sort of midway deal here between Trump's plan and Obama's rules? California says no way. It's likely that Donald Trump will say no way as well, because, as we know, he's particularly antagonistic towards California.
Okay, well, I know Donald Trump has run into, trouble from, also from companies who, private and public, who want to introduce, high-speed rail across the United States, something it surprisingly doesn't really have that much of. So can we read this as being another sign that his environmental agenda is, running into trouble?
Well, we can say there's a bit of a clash sometimes between the slogans and then what happens when things are put into practice. The president claims, of course, he's pro-business. He wants to slash rules and regulations. He's got a lot of support in the business community for that. But there are claims that sometimes it's counterproductive and that industries are undermined. The car makers have been warning about this since last year. They also, incidentally, fear that the effects of his threat to put tariffs on imports from Europe could lead to a trade war, and that may increase prices as well. But there are other signs of trouble elsewhere. For instance, he's pledged to create an oil and gas boom, but one of his attempt to reverse the ban on drilling in the Arctic, for instance, was overturned in the courts. There have also been suggestions that if he helps coal, well, that's not going to help the oil and gas industry, that tariffs are going to cause havoc across the board. What we're seeing, he wants to overturn Obama-era, his big pledges, but it's not so easy in practice.